the door, take the leap, and be the dream.
Welcome to the Be the Dream podcast, where you'll find tools to help you gain the motivation to leap into a life you love. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Be the Dream podcast. Today I have 4 questions for you that will help you get out of any slump. It will help you reignite your motivation to reach your dreams and to get to the life that you've always dreamed of. So the very first question is, what do you need? This question is all about listening to your body and finally doing that introspective work and giving yourself what you actually need. I think that so often we forget in this go world of like, reach the next level, be so motivated, do all the things, like what's the next step? How do I action my way into a better life? We forget that if we are in survival mode, we're not going to be going anywhere because all of our brain capacity is going to be focused on survival, no matter what you do. Like, you can't bust out of that until you have taken care of your own survival needs first. So if you've been feeling burnt out, this is the step you really need to focus on. It's, what do you need? Is your body craving rest? Do you need to eat a sandwich? I think throughout the day, like, there's macro ways to focus on this, and then there's micro ways. There's ways in which this shows up on a grand scale in our lives. Like, if we are needing more sleep in general, if we're needing more rest in general, if we're needing something on a really larger scale, but also if we're needing mini breaks throughout our day because we just don't tend to give those to ourselves, or if we don't give ourselves a lunch break, or if we currently need a snack. Like, it's going to be really hard to have clarity about our actions and about our businesses and about our dreams if we haven't first taken care of those physical needs. If you are in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, that is where your brain will automatically be focused. And it's going to be extremely difficult to get out of that in order to actually focus on your dreams and to have the creativity that you need and the freedom inherent in that creativity to have the inspiration and that free flowing thought that comes when you're really in the zone and reaching for those goals. I want to talk for a second about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you haven't heard about this, it is so important and so mind-blowing. This is from like the 1940s, 1950s. And he talks about how our baseline is that we have these physiological needs. We need to breathe. We need food. We need water and shelter and clothing and sleep. And if we are not getting those basic needs met, all of our physical functions, all of our systems will be redirected until those needs are met. Like, all of our focus will be pointed towards getting those needs met. The second tier is safety and security, health, employment, property, family, and social ability. So once we have our physiological needs met, then we can start focusing. We have the capacity to focus on, exercise, to focus on money, to focus on family life. But we can't even get there until our basic needs have been met. And then the next step is love and belonging, friendships, family, intimacy, and a sense of connection. So if you have found yourself like neglecting friendships and family and intimacy, maybe you're missing some of those lower tiers. The next one up is self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, and the need to be a unique individual. What's interesting is that you cannot feel that self-esteem piece until you first, you can't feel that first, I'm getting all tongue-tied. You can't first feel that unique individual piece until you've first felt the belonging piece. So that self-esteem and unique and like, I'm amazing as a person on my own, that doesn't even like occur to us until we have first felt like we belong in a group. And then the final tier is self-actualization, which includes morality, creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, and inner potential. So this is a really cool way to see, like, where are you at and how are you doing? And if you're feeling burnt out, you might realize that, oh, I'm way at the bottom. And that's where I've been in a lot of ways. And so that's why I see this as so important, because for so many of us, we're reaching for the stars, but we don't have our baseline met in some ways. And so we're finding it difficult to get to where we want to be, but that has to be our baseline. So my first question is, what do you need? What is it that you have the power, absolutely, to give yourself that you haven't been doing? Because absolutely, this is an incredibly important piece of this. You have the power to give those things to yourself. If you are an adult and you are listening to this podcast, you have the power to take a break, to go to the bathroom when you need to eat a sandwich when you need to give yourself the rest when you need to. You have to be responsible for your own physical well-being. That is the purpose, that is the intent behind this number 1, what do you need question. Number 2 question is, what do you want? Now, this is a question that we could spend pondering for so long, and I think a lot of us have. When you start with the end in mind, it makes the entire process so much easier. If you are stumbling in the dark towards some unknown goal or a vague goal, your progress won't work very well. Like, you won't have very much progress. So it's really important that you have a really clear picture in your head of what you want. And I mean, seriously visualize it and be very, very clear about what you want. What is your goal? What is it? What would it look like for you to get exactly what you want? And picture it and imagine it and hold that and know that you deserve it and it's meant for you. When you can hold that so tightly and you can cling to that no matter what happens, it is guaranteed. It will happen. But you have to really own it and step into it and become it. But first, you have to know what it is. And I think a lot of us struggle with that number 1 question of, not even having our baseline needs met. And we come to know what we want by knowing what we don't want. So if you are, starving, then you know that you want food because you know that you're hungry. If you know that you are overworked and you're exhausted, then you know that you want rest. If you know what you want by comparison a lot of times. So first you have to get out of the lack mentality before you can really see what you would want from a clear plane of existence. Hopefully that makes sense. Question number 3, what is in the way? You have to identify the obstacles that have been holding you back from this vision, this thing that you want. And then you get to find a creative way around them. One of the things that I've seen over and over again is that we have this vision in our mind of this thing that we want. But we don't just have that crystal clear picture. We also have a picture of the path to get there. Now you have to get rid of that path. Keep that vision and hold the vision of the end goal, but erase the path, because that path could look 100 different ways. And you have to allow for that path to look any way that might unfold, because it could look so much better than the prescribed version you've seen before. And maybe there are, routes that are more scenic, that are more exciting, that you never could have guessed. That's what I've seen in my life, and it's been quite an incredible ride. You have to allow for the unknown, even as you know what the end result is meant to be. Hopefully that makes sense. And then as you see those obstacles that have always felt like, a cage in the way, like I can't possibly get there because this thing in the way, you are able to see them more clearly as stepping stones to help you get there. You see them as things that transform into ways that have helped you grow and become. So once you identify the things that are quote unquote in your way, then you can change your perspective and see them in a whole new light. And that changes everything. All right, last question. Question number 4 is, what is the first step? If you can just take one step towards that goal, that momentum will get rolling and rolling and rolling, because the first step leads to the second, leads to the third, and the fourth, and on and on and on. And you just never know where that first step is going to lead. You don't have to know the entire path, and you're not supposed to know the entire path. You just need to have the courage to take one step at a time. Just take one step. So, what do you want? And what is the very first step that you can think of to get there? And it doesn't have to be a big step. It can be a tiny little baby step. But what is something that you can do tomorrow or next week? What is some small amount of motion that you can get rolling with? Because an object in motion stays in motion. So if you can get rolling with it, if you can hold on to that dream and start your motion rolling, you'll be able to so much more easily stay in motion. So, get those baseline needs met. Number 1, what do you need? Number 2, what do you want? Identify that goal. Hold it. Hold that vision. If it helps you to make a vision board, do it. See it in physical form if you want to. See it in your mind. Meditate on it every single day. Do what it takes to hold that vision, and just know that you are so worth it, and that you wouldn't have that dream if it wasn't meant for you. Number 3, identify what is in the way and then transform it, and see how shifting your perspective will change everything. And then number 4, take the first step. You can do this. I'm so excited to see you guys reach your dreams. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Be the Dream podcast. In the show notes, you're going to find links about how to be a guest on the show, how to find my website, and anything special I have going on at the moment. Please share this with a friend. Let them know that you're thinking about them, and let's share inspiration with as many people as we can, because we can all use a little more motivation in our lives. See you next time. And until then, remember that being the dream is not about what you do, but about who you are.